Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, I'm testing this new little earbuds that I got, and
Oh,
so I don't have this bulky little headset anymore.
like
I'm
I've got.
hoping yeah, I'm hoping it's gonna last until the end of the show because the battery. It's my first time testing them. I don't know how long they'll last, but how are you today?
I am good. Had a busy weekend, and I want to know. So, who ended up going to Cape? Busy Cape weekend.
All of Cornwall, probably.
Yeah.
I stayed away. I was like I've been feeling under the weather since Saturday. My throat, like I have a very, very bad sore throat and got the sniffles, but it's like that kind of cold, that doesn't know if it wants to come
Yeah.
and or go. Like I
Yeah.
wake up, I'm wondering if it's even just allergies or something, because at this point I'm just like every morning I wake up, my throat is really burning, and then it gets a little better during the day. And anyways, I've been pumping myself with oil of oregano and cold effects, and like I'm trying to nip it in the bud, but we'll see as the week progresses where it
It
goes.
it probably is allergies though, Julia, because I'm constant. I'm just like congested all the time, and wake up with a sore throat as well. So it's probably that. But I did run into one of my friends who was at work and suddenly was fine when she went in, and then halfway through the day she had such a sore throat she ended up going home. But unless there's something going around again, who knows?
Well, I mean, I have a few friends who have COVID right now, so it's
I
still
see.
around. It's a possibility. But and Mateo was sick. Like when I went to get him last week, he was at the tail end of his disease, but still, I was in the car with him for the whole time, right? So for an hour from Ottawa, so I mean, I could have caught what he had. Who knows? But
Exactly.
yeah, we'll see how it goes. But anyways, just for to be safe, I didn't go anywhere. I didn't want to because I was supposed to go this weekend to Cape. I was supposed to
Mhm.
cover that, and then I was supposed to go yesterday, last
Chicken
night, and
dinner.
the chicken dinner from the Health Coalition. Ended up not going in there either, just because yeah, I didn't want to get anybody sick,
Well,
especially like the Health Coalition. I'm figuring a lot of old people would have
yeah,
been there, so I don't want to. I don't want to risk it.
yeah. No, it's true. Well, the Cape looked really busy. Jason got some really awesome pictures. And
Yeah.
while he was at Cape, I went to Eco Day at Lamro Park, which was really good too. There was a lot of booths set up. The weather was absolutely gorgeous, just the right weather until
Yeah.
you got down near the bandshell when the wind picked up and everybody was holding their tents and canopies down. But the breeze was good and it was really nice. And then, of course, we DJ'd the Cape after party with Ed the Sock and Dana Lair.
Yeah.
So Dan started off by roasting Ed the Sock, and Ed got him back by roasting him. So it was actually pretty good. I really enjoyed it. It was fun, and
Yeah.
a little bit of dancing at the end with DJ Shell Shock. So it was good. It was very
Good.
interesting.
Good.
Yeah.
It was a busy weekend in Cornwall this weekend, and it was like you said, like we've been lucky. The weekends have been gorgeous so far
Mhm.
in April, and hopefully it stays this way. But I don't mind if it rains during the week like this. Like that's fine. But as long as the weekend is beautiful, and
I
of
went.
course I spent. Go
I
ahead.
no. I said I went to a baby shower. I haven't been to a baby shower in like years, and so this was out in the boonies around Dunbar, and I'm like.
Okay.
My GPS is buried in boxes somewhere. So Sheldon drew me a little map, thank God, because I had no clue where I was going. So I followed his. I should show you. I actually made it there. I was quite impressed. It was like this was what I followed, his little hand drawn map. And
Okay.
I did get there. So but that again, that was nice. Like take a break, step back and do something that I wouldn't normally do. Play games at a baby shower and, see people I haven't seen. It was actually very, very nice. Very nice
Nice.
change. Yeah,
Awesome.
when I finally got that, stopped in at McAfee Flea Market on the way back.
Okay.
Haven't done that in years either. And took a nice ride down highway number 2. So yeah, it was busy, but it was a very good weekend.
Cool. Well, I spent most of my week at Seaway Hyundai.
Well, Seaway Hyundai, and then in what you bought at Seaway Hyundai.
And yeah, oh my God, it's gorgeous. I love it. It's just beautiful. It's so me, and it's running so well. Thanks the guys at Seaway Hyundai. I'm like family now. I go there where I'm like, I go there and everybody's like, "Hey, Julia, how are you?" Like we bought 2 cars in 2 weeks, so
Well,
I guess we would be like family, right?
I would hope they would be.
Yeah. It was yeah, it's funny. I go there to just give something and then they're like, "Hey Julia, hi Julia, hi Julia, how are you?" So it's kind of like, yeah, second family.
But it's, it's
Um,
nice when you do that, and you're noticed, especially when you bought 2 cars. We bought cars from Nissan. It's the same thing. The sales lady comes over and she's always talking to me when I go drop off the seeker. So it's
yeah,
kind of nice, it's nice that
yeah,
they remember.
yeah. It's a
They
pricey
remember.
relationship, but it's nice.
Yeah, well, especially if you just went in to kind of look around and then came out
Yeah,
buying a
there
vehicle.
was no looking around. Like John actually got his car last week and he got a hybrid, so he had to wait for his. Like
Hmm.
his got it took a year, about a year to get it.
Hmm.
So it was a long time coming. He was very happy when it came, and he's so super happy with his car. And then mine, like I was not even looking at changing my car. Like I was very happy with my little cruise. Like there was no
Hmm.
issue with my cruise. Love
Hmm.
that little car. But I went on to the website. It's dangerous. Don't go to websites. It's
No.
dangerous. So I went to the website and I was just browsing, to see what they had. And here comes this 2022 beautiful, like lava red Elantra, very sporty looking, super cool, low mileage, and I just got like I got hooked. So I just like, what if, So I started working the numbers and stuff. It turns out like it's not. It's when he changed his car, it dropped his payment because he was paying a lot on his truck, right? You would
Hmm.
imagine a truck costs a lot, so it dropped a lot for his payments, and then it dropped our insurance as well. Our insurance payment went down with the change.
Okay.
So when I changed mine, it went up a little bit, but all in all, it just equivalent. We pay less now than with the other two vehicles, so I had to justify it somehow.
Well, we'll talk about this when the boys come on, because I think
Was
it
it
really,
was it
I
midlife
really,
crisis?
yeah, I really
Was
think it
my
fits.
car midlife crisis? You think let's bring the boys and talk about it?
Yeah, Steven's nodding. Yeah, I think it's midlife crisis.
Absolutely.
But it's so beautiful.
So anyway, today we're talking about menopause, midlife crisis, our changing in life journey as we go through it. And we've got, well, we have a good age range. We got 50s, 60s, and 70s. So we should be able to get some opinions here. So
You're
what
not in your
is
70s, Elise.
Yeah.
Here.
Hey, thank you very much. The diagonal ones here are in their 60s. We won't tell which ones those are, though.
You said 50 somewhere. I'm not 50. I'm like 35.
Oh, that's true. I
Hey,
forgot.
hey, me too. Steve?
There you go.
Okay, well, I was
Okay.
completely wrong. I guess we're all in our 35s. Let's nix that subject. None of us have got to it yet.
I'm dyslexic. I'm dyslexic. I'm 37.
Okay. Okay. So, did you boys have a midlife crisis? What did it
Well,
look like?
let's talk about menopause. Should we not talk about menopause? I thought that led into life crisis. Does it? Or I don't know. Comments.
Sometimes it does. What I just read on it, actually, and it's ironic that we're doing this morning. I just read a book on midlife crisis, and it does. Menopause and menopause do can lead to it, but quite often it's I don't want to say a traumatic event, but something that happens to you that stops you in your tracks and changes your whole outlook. One of the things that they were talking in the book is like Marie Curie, the one that invented radiation, and not radiation, but X-rays and all that. She had gone through a depression, and that led to her midlife crisis. And after she came out of her depression, she became more in tune to everything around her. And what they also said is that it's like being reborn. We're all walking around with, what our parents taught us. You do this, 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 this. So you're always living by what your parents say. And then all of a sudden you go through this crisis in your life or whatever, and you come back with a different value you're going to live for you. In the book, it says we have a shadow person inside of us. And it's always there telling us, you got to do this, you got to do that. But we have this persona that's outside of us, and we can't do what we want to do. And all of a sudden, the shadow, once we go through something, it doesn't have to be a depression, but all the great people in science have actually, and the philosophers and everything else, have gone through depressions or some sort of depression, and then come back out, and which they call it menopause or midlife crisis. And when they come out, they're much, much more in tune to everything around them and more rejuvenated with a new view of life.
So Google here says that midlife crises tend to happen between 40 and 60.
And it could happen as early as your 30s and as late as your 80s.
I think this comes a part in your life where you assess what's going on. Like we often hear someone who was a CEO and all of a sudden quits that 6-digit job there and opens a muffin shop in Vancouver or something. I think we reprioritize what's important for us. If you're, as you're getting older, if you're 50 some years old and you're going like, wow, I've been doing this forever and you can't buy time, and what's this worth and what's life all about, like Steve said, I think it's just a reevaluation of what am I doing this for, what for, type of thing. So that might be seen as a midlife crisis, but also might be as you're finally smart enough to quit the rat race too.
Yeah.
Right. There's like a negative connotation when you say midlife crisis. Like we're thinking we're thinking like, okay, I'll be honest. When you say midlife crisis, I'm seeing an older guy dropping everything, going on a nowhere on a trip somewhere, and leaving his wife and marrying a young girl. That's what I see when we say older woman. Like older woman. What was that?
I picture a younger woman buying a red Elantra, spontaneous buying a red Elantra.
There we go.
Numbers.
Touche.
There's
there's a like we're seeing this stuff and we tend to put a bad connotation on it when in fact it should just be seen as, what, they're searching, they're finally realizing, we're finally realizing that we're not happy, and we're changing the stuff that we're not happy with to make ourselves happy, because life is short, and you got to grab it by the cojones and just be happy.
Well, I think what Steve said about what are your parents going to think and all that, by that age probably your parents are gone or are telling you loosen up or lighten up. So once you're done with that and you go, what about my self-fulfillment? What about, me feeling good about me? And what am I working for? I'm allowed a little fun. So maybe, that red Corvette chasing a woman, maybe he's tired of baggage. Maybe he's just like, hey, I've worked all my life for this. Whatever it may be, I think it's just a moment of enlightenment going, time's running out. Let's have some fun.
Yeah.
You put it on hold for a while, right? You party hardy when you're in your 20s, and then you get more career oriented, and you got to establish a business or whatever you're doing. You raise your kids. You got to be a good example. Then empty nest, they move on, and then you're like, wow, is that who I'm having breakfast with now? It's all of that, or you're working 70 hours a week, or you're all gun ho about that promotion and this kind of stuff, and then you realize that's not what it's about. Like, you girls are rated to metaphysical stuff. That's what it's not about. You didn't know that when you were 20. You wanted, you wanted to show your self worth through your careers or your objectives or your children or whatever. And then you get to a comfortable part where you care less about that. Just move
Yeah.
as you would think. I'm hoping.
Yeah, and you're kind of okay, like being mother does not define me. Being a businesswoman does not define me. Being, pleasing everybody is not, making me happy. It's just everybody's walking. Like I know when, because I had like some sort of midlife crisis, believe it or not, before my red Elantra.
You don't believe it.
I guess my red Elantra is a result of me actually analyzing. When my mom passed away, that was a defining moment for me. My mom and I were not close at all. And it was weird because I had a harder time when my mom passed away than when my dad passed away. And I couldn't figure it out and I couldn't realize. And I got depressed and I was wondering, like, what his life is all about. Like, it really made me question. My both parents were dead now, and it's like, okay, it's my turn next, So
Right.
you're like, okay, what is this all about? What is life all about? Like, why am I doing all the things I've done, and why am I trying so hard to make everybody happy? And I'm the one not getting my needs met. So I started putting boundaries that were more strict and not letting people crossing my boundaries, and I'm like, okay, this is how it's going to be now, and I'm sorry, I'm getting a red Elantra.
Well, as that French guy said, Steve, what's important in life is happiness.
Everybody has
You must be
Oh my God.
you gotta
happy.
keep yourself happy. You must be happy all the time.
Yeah.
Well, when I went through my midlife crisis back in the 90s, it was just after I had lost all my companies and I lost everything. And what the psychiatrist explained to me that at the same time I was going through my midlife crisis, I was going through a depression.
Hmm.
And a lot of times with men, when they hit their 40s and mid 40s, whatever, they have done everything they set out to do. They have their family, they have their business, they have, they excelled in sports or whatever. And then all of a sudden, it's like, what's left? What's left
Oh
for me?
my, without all this.
Yeah, but what now? What am I going to do? I've done everything. Like I had a dream to own my own companies. By the time I hit 40, I had 3 of them, and it was like,
Hmm.
what's left now? I got my son, I had my marriage, got my home, I got my cars, my trucks, I have everything. What's left? There was nothing left for me to do.
Then got rid of all of that.
Yeah, I said,
Clean
I
the
don't
slate.
need all this crap. But and I'm not calling my ex or my son crap, but it's like, but all the material things we don't really need in our lives, and it was only after coming out of my midlife crisis that I realized what I'm what my meaning is, what I'm supposed to be doing, where I'm supposed to be, and you lose all the drive of wanting to be somebody you're not. And for once, I became who I wanted to be, or who I am. Put it that way.
Hmm.
You,
Hmm.
you said something earlier, Steve, about some people was following a major disease or a wake up call or that kind of stuff. So I'll tell you when, like I had cancer in 2007, had a couple times after that, but in 2007, I would have been 45, I think, 44, 45. And you sit around a lot with just time to think, right? So when you're sick, going through chemo, and I go lay down. I call the darkness my old friend because you're too unwell to do anything else. So you just go lay down and feel good, but the wheels turn all the time. I think that was like a bit of a luxury that if people are working 70 hours a week, they just do. You get up, you make the lunches for your kids, you show up at work, you bring them to soccer, you just do, and you don't even see the signs that won't slow down. I think that's what we get caught up in. And like you said, a major disease. I know a neighbor of mine had a massive heart attack. He was worried about he wouldn't be able to quit his job and all this, had a heart attack. Next thing you know, he quit his job. He had a classic car. He traveled. It's amazing once your mind is made up what you can do when you're not so concerned about, oh, what if,
Yeah.
making sure you have humongous amounts of money. And someone said, it's more about having a good time in life and not being. I'll try to find a kind word for it, but we're all like prostitutes in a way. We all do stuff for power and money, uh, and that we have to reevaluate what's important, what keeps us well, because at one point, a lot of people get sick by trying to compete with the Joneses or put themselves in debt, and that's stress. Well, Steve will tell you about that. Running 3 companies sounds good, but running 3 companies will kill you
Yeah.
one way or the other. So.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
know that, Julia. Like, I mean, we have our own businesses and
I
everybody's a seeker, and
Yeah, but I wouldn't put myself in that because my like what I do I love so much.
yeah,
It's not a job. It's not. It's,
yeah, and that's my
No,
favorite saying. When you love what you do, you don't feel like you're working. But
Well, the
yeah,
thing is also the two of you have each other in this business. I
yeah,
was on my own, and my
yeah.
problem was I didn't trust anybody. So if a
Mhm.
delivery had to be done, it had to be me. I had drivers sitting in the office while I went out and did deliveries because I didn't trust them. I had people staying at home while I went out and washed trucks because I didn't like the way they did them. And it was
Mhm.
like, but it
oh,
was I had to do it, and it was, you can only go so far, and then the wick burns right to the middle,
yep,
and you're done. And
I'm
that's
a bit
what
like that. My will tell you I'm a little bit of a control freak, but I'm learning though. I've been delegating a lot more these days. So and it's good. It's good for my mental health.
yep,
you
Absolutely.
have to.
Robert, Robert Charles Lebois said, balance, ça prend toute notre vie pour apprendre à vivre. It takes your entire life to learn how to live.
yep,
And like you
Great
said,
quote.
yeah, I'm learning, and it's that. You can't be 35 when you're 20, and you can't be 60 when you're 40. Like you have to have those life experiences go
yep,
by.
Yeah.
You have to take them on the chin. You have to reevaluate what's important, and it's a process. It's always in flux. It's not. This is definitely what you do. And I did this little survey one time, real quick, with about a knitting club at work, and the women are in their like 70s and 80s, and I asked them, raise your hands those whose life went as we planned, and not one hand came up. So like we planned, oh, we're gonna have kids. This is what Christmas is gonna look like every year. Tradition, all the things we saw on TV with Bing Crosby, and even though we found out his life was hell for his kids, but anyways, we have this idea of how our life's going to end up. And I mean, if I did that survey right now, well, I know a little bit about it your life, so I don't think hands would come up either. Things happen along the way, and they definitely don't go as planned. Mine didn't go as planned, anyways.
Oh no, like I went a long way around. Like when I was a kid, my ultimate goal was I wanted to be a journalist. That's what I wanted to do. But I went like a full 360 before I landed here. It took a long time. I mean, stuff that had nothing to do with being a journalist before I became one. So yeah,
yeah. I
full
always,
circle.
I always say everything in life is part of the journey. Like we can plan what we want, but the journey, a lot of it is already
You
pre-planned
just look at
for
the
you.
speaker itself. It's
Yeah,
man, it became something of its own. Like
we started off as a black and white classified newspaper, a weekly, and
it
we
was
don't.
just contact, no contact, and look what it is now.
Well, like you guys have got your thing going, and I remember like myself, the only thing I ever wanted to be was rich. That
Mm.
was my goal. I just wanted to be rich.
Look at my house, Steve. Well, as long as I don't move, you'll see
Yeah, you make me very jealous.
Look at that piano, man. Like he's rich.
my virtual house
Yeah,
people.
like the only thing I wanted to be was rich, and it nearly put me in a grave trying to get there.
Mhm.
And I tell like I do all the talks for the Canadian Mental Health Association and that, and I am the richest I ever was because I finally realized who I am, not who people wanted me to be, or not somebody I had put myself that given myself higher expectations that I could ever not reach because I did reach where I wanted to be, but getting to the top of the ladder is easy. It's staying there that's the hard part. And when you hit the midlife crisis, it knocks you down, and you some people bounce out of it a lot better than they ever were, and they stay at the top of the ladder. Other people they fall to the bottom, they stay on the bottom, and some people never get back up. So it's really
Yeah. Well, Stephen, you're rich. You're
Yes,
just
I am.
rich in other ways.
I am so rich today that it's incredible because I'm doing things that I never would have dreamed I would have done. I'm doing things for, and I think the whole part for me, I became a giver,
Hmm.
and I
Mhm.
find that I'm giving more than I could ever give before, and I'm not giving monetarily. I'm giving of
Of
myself.
yourself.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. You're volunteering a lot.
too much.
Well, that's
But
another issue, right? Not being able to say no is yeah.
but it goes with self care too. Like now, the summer is coming, and I booked off everything. There's going to be like shows for sure, one day a month or whatever. That's different, but I booked off everything for the summer
Oh.
because it's time for self care, and I think that's one of the things that I had a hard time learning was self care, and
Hmm.
all I did was keep pushing, pushing because Ivan asked me something, Julie asked me something, Mai-Liis asked me something. Yes, 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 yes. Now
Hmm.
I'm getting
Hmm.
to say, no, I'm sorry. Today is my day, and
That's good.
and it comes with the knowledge from my. A lot of people call midlife crisis a burnout also because
Hmm.
you're you're at you're at the end of your wick.
Hmm. So, okay, midlife crisis done. How about menopause and menopause?
Menopause is very brutal for men.
You think it's brutal for men? You should try being a woman.
It's
I'm going
funny
to
you
tell you,
say
I've
that.
been married 3 times, and I've been with 3 women that have gone through menopause.
Oh no! Wow, you're glutton for punishment.
Yes, and I tell you, they're not fun because your mood swings. Like one minute you're laughing, smiling, and going on, and the next minute you want to tear my freaking head off. And all I did was look at you. It's like, this is,
What do you mean?
I think it's probably different for everybody. Like I know my lease had a very easy menopause. Like she
Well,
blinked her eyes and was done. Like
I mean, other than like, a few hot flashes here and there, I don't think I was overly moody or anything. I don't know. I can't recall really.
we would have to ask your ex-husband.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, don't no,
He can ask you the reason.
we're not bringing him on the show, no, because that would take like about 4 or 5 hours probably. But I don't recall like going through any of the things that are listed, on the menopause list. I
Yeah,
don't know. I feel that I went through it quite easily, but like you say, maybe that's my feeling. Maybe other
perception of
people,
it.
yeah, maybe other people around me didn't.
What? Me moody? No. What are you talking about, moody? I'm not moody.
I'm
that,
always smiling,
that's like when I quit
but
smoking. I said I was good. I was calm. I was really handled it well.
Nobody
And I
around you
felt
agreed.
that I wanted to get out. The last time I quit smoking, I was not hyper nothing. And Mary turns around and says, "Whoa, was he brutal?" Because
Oh
I
my.
found something when I didn't even know it. So a lot of times, but I'm laughing because one of my late sister-in-laws, we were at her house one time and she was going through the change. And she always, the door open, the door closed, door open, door closed. In the middle of winter, she got the doors wide open. And one time her husband, Ross, turned around and says, "For God's sakes, Maureen, you're freezing us out." And she had a plate of spaghetti and she
oh,
reached it, and threw it across the room. It smattered down the walls. And all we could do is sit there and laugh at her. But when she calmed back down, she just went over, not said a word, wiped all the walls down, went and sat down and had her supper by herself.
wow.
My ex mother-in-law, I remember we'd go visit her in the condo, so she was going through her menopause, and it would be cold, and then her husband he'd be in a jacket all the time. Like Huxley show. She just, yeah, she'd always be fanning herself, and I mean, yeah, it was, and he'd be in the house
My mother was,
and
I'm gonna go.
everything just to be in the house.
My
And
mother
Ross,
was, I'm gonna go throw myself in the river.
Yeah.
But it's funny, you reminded me, Steve, of there was an episode of Roseanne one time, and it was about PMS, and Dan wakes up, and it's the fan overhead, but it sounds like a chopper from Vietnam, you know. And he's like, he wakes up in a sweat, and you think like he's a prisoner of war or something, but no, it's the first year. The minute he says something, he's just wrong. He just knows he's going to get it. Doesn't matter what he says, how kind he's going to be. And she just, the whole show's about him get like trying to dodge and duck and avoid her, but she just nails him every opportunity. But that's
May as well be a prisoner of war. So do men get moody at all?
But it's not. See, yours is called andropause or something. I just always said,
It's when the testosterone goes down, right?
Yeah.
Mild, meek, and kind.
Yeah.
Do you want to break down in tears sometimes? Like, do you want to just hide in a corner and cry?
Yeah, we probably have moments like that. I was talking about that last week. I have nostalgic moments where I'm like, oh, it'd be so nice to go visit my parents. Well, they've been dead for a long time. So, that kind of thing, or remember what your kids looked like when they were 8 and 10, and rejoin them again in that period. So, I think we have moments where we're sad, where and that's probably normal. You go through life, you might want to revisit some of the stuff that you think you should have spent more attention to, but what's gone.
Yeah.
I became more weepy.
Weepy?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Say something and I will choke up. I cry.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I remember my dad was a very tough guy. Very, never showed emotions ever. And in his later years, I remember being kind of looking at my kids and having a little tear come, I was like, what is this, Dad? You're becoming soft. What's going on here?
I got to share this story. My dad was the same way. He was in the Merchant Marine at 15. He was in the Army at 17, raised during the Depression. Nothing but hardship and hard times. So there was no crying. And we found out my grandmother had passed away, and we're sitting at the table, we're eating, and all of a sudden my dad starts to cry. My sister and my other sister had moved on, but my middle sister and I were like, who is it? We had never seen him in a moment of weakness like that. And I remember just just like a foreign animal finally landed at the table. We're like, what do we say? What do we do? Because we had never been exposed to that.
Yeah.
He handled everything,
Yeah. Wow.
So it's nice that we brought this up today, because you mentioned something about, it looks like the guy buys a toupee and a convertible Corvette and that kind of stuff. And I mean, it can be contributed to all kinds of things, right? Hormonal, as well as just reevaluating life, following a life crisis, coming out of a depression, going to the other side, whatever it may be, overworking and going, well, this is stupid. I might have 25 years to live, tops. What do I want to do with my life? Is it important that and I remember one time my ex-father-in-law, we went out for breakfast. He goes, the guy who's sitting in front of us, he's a multimillionaire, but the guy was dressed in clothes from the 1960s, So if you're not spending it or using it, it's just a bunch of numbers in a bank account, which are virtual now, and you just think it's there, but you don't have anything in hand. Money's only exchange for stuff. I know it gives people security, but it's really, we got to really think about, we only have one, unless you're Buddhist and you think we do this 8-9 times, but we only have one shot at this. And what do we want to do in our lives? And I mean, it changes every, Gail Sheehy wrote a book about passages, and every decade is a new challenge, right? You're in your 20s, you're either going to finish university, look towards career, 30s to 40s, you're solidifying your career. 40s are raising your children, and maybe they're going off to university, or early 50s, and then every step of the way is a new challenge every 10 years, and then you get to 60 and you step on a measuring tape and you look ahead what possibly you have left, and that's if you're lucky, and you're going, whoa, 15 years. I've been at this job 15 years. This one here, I was the other one for close to 24. And you go, wow, 15 years went like that. So I'm 60 now, and if I had 15 years, I'm 75. And the 15 years that I've been here went by the Zoom, and you're like, wow, 15 years from 75. And that's why, like, I am retiring May 31st. I'm retiring. I'll probably
Good for you.
Oh,
get
good for you.
work, but just something completely different, something that doesn't talk about homelessness and human trafficking and all the hardships in society and that kind of thing. I just need to escape and refresh on that as well.
Hmm. Understandably, because that those are heavy topics, and it would weigh on you doing it for 15 years. Like, yeah, totally understand that.
And not necessarily doing it, just being aware of all this stuff and the powerlessness. Like you girls are, you're exposed to the same thing. You do an interview, what's going on, and you're like, well, what can I do about it? Like, it's really bothering me that we see deer on sidewalks everywhere because we've cut down every freaking tree we have now. At the
Yeah,
same time, we have to do something about homelessness. But what's going on? That'll be a topic for another show. How come
yeah.
suddenly 1,000 homes, and at overpriced? But yeah, no one's thinking of these beasts that are coming out of the woods, and that's going to be a problem, and that'll be addressed in a sad, brutal way somehow.
Mm.
But anyway,
Yeah.
that's another show.
They'll just shoot the deer because they're infringing on our territory.
Yeah. But no, it's us on their territory. Don't get me started, Steve.
Yeah, we were going to.
Okay,
Yeah,
we have time.
Mai-Liis, after you
We are married to our topics.
Mai-Liis, when you come out of your menopause, did you feel happier than you were before menopause, or the same
Okay,
person?
let's clarify something. The period leading to menopause is called perimenopause. Like all the symptoms and everything, that's perimenopause. Once you've reached menopause, like you're always in menopause. Like you're
Oh, okay.
you're
Okay.
menopause. Like she is in menopause now. Like it's always going to be that way. Like
What?
Okay.
she's reached menopause. She's reached
Okay.
menopause.
So the period leading up to it to now
Perimenopause.
yeah,
Yeah.
perimenopause. Was there a change in your demeanor from perimenopause to menopause?
I myself, I don't think so. But then, people around me might have seen me differently. I've always been the kind of person, everything happens the way it's meant to, and just go with the flow kind of thing as much as I can. But I mean, things have happened
Good
in
choice
my
of
life.
words. Go with the flow or lack. Or lack of.
Oh my God. I just realized,
I like that.
yeah, I just realized what I said. But again, like you say, though, things do happen in your life, and they make you reevaluate. Like for instance, a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, my oldest son passed away. And that was a shocker to me, because at 33 years old, that was totally unexpected. And that's when it more or less said to myself, life is short. You do have to do what you want to do, because he had so much living to do, and it's gone. So that was one thing. But I've always kind of had the attitude that everything happens the way it's meant to. And
She's
I,
easygoing.
I try to be. I feel like I am, but
You're easygoing.
but again, I moved from England to here with my parents. I had a lot of what if, could have, should have, would have. I should have stayed. It would have been like this, and that's why I changed my attitude. Because before that, I might have had a different attitude, and then that was out of my control. I mean, I could have stayed in England at the age of 19. My parents could have moved here. I would probably have seen them once a year, maybe. And that wasn't good for me. So I left all my friends behind, came here, and then I had to change. It took me a long time to say, okay, this is the way it was meant to happen. This is where I'm meant to be. And that's why I have that everything happens for a reason mentality kind of thing, because there's a lot of stuff I can't control. That's where that came from, Julia, because I know you
Yeah,
don't
she,
always
she drives me nuts. She's always like, everything happens for a reason.
yeah,
And I'm like, no, sometimes it's just because people are stupid. You know?
but that's how I got that mentality. That's the reasoning behind it. Because I mean, I couldn't change the way my life went.
But,
I
well,
should,
you can never change events. You can only change the way you react to events, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah. But anyway, that's the reason. And like you say, there's always something drastic happens, and it makes you change the way you look at life too. So, but I don't know. Like, say, Julia, you say we're always in menopause. I mean,
Well, then we've reached menopause. That's the correct term. Is you've reached menopause, so now you're like, postmenopausal, like, kind of. But
so we still get those hot flashes in postmenopause.
no, I don't think you do. I think it stops at a certain point.
I don't
Listen,
know.
I'm too young to be familiar with all that. No, but seriously, I've been in perimenopause myself, and perimenopause is it can last anywhere from 1 year to 10 years. Like, some women experience it for a long, long time. You've reached menopause once you've spent a whole year without period.
Yeah.
So, so you can be. So what I've been feeling, I haven't had the hot flashes so far, thank God. I haven't had like the insomnia. Like, they say insomnia is really bad. I haven't felt that. But I will say that I am a lot less tolerant than and not tolerant in the mean that I'm a short fuse. It's just that I
No,
don't let
no,
people
no, 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 Julia. No, sorry.
I just don't let people walk all over me anymore. Like, I don't tolerate it. Like,
Hmm.
if people try to abuse of my kindness, I'm not letting it happen anymore. Why are you laughing?
Because we're
Steve,
all
put that
tolerant
thing on
he
the
is.
show. Walk softly. Walk softly.
because we're all
Hey,
speechless here.
ladies,
Julia's kind and she's less tolerant.
how
Okay, I feel like that was an insult in some disguise form, Mai-Liis.
not
Well,
us.
no,
Julia is kind.
But what's
no.
important in life, Stephen, is you have to have.
Happiness.
You have to have what?
I have one, thank you.
All I ever wanted in life was happiness.
I
Happiness.
have one, thank you.
Happiness. What's the matter? What are you
Okay.
hearing? No, but seriously, did
Well,
perimenopause
I'm happier.
affect your intimacy at all? Did there was like,
Me?
well,
Yeah.
both of you, not to
Um,
work together,
so
but I
far
mean,
so good. So far so good. Happiness is great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, perimenopause. I'm like I'm past that, obviously, but no, I didn't have any issues either. So not that I know of.
so people listening out there is not a valid excuse. You heard that live from.
Okay, now you two, how are you doing in that
Has
department?
it affected you? Because apparently, andropause can cause reduced sexual desire and activity.
There's
Yeah.
Is
a
that
big
also
word
true?
there's
My
a big word.
partner, anywhere we're in a room and he can sense them coming in, so it hasn't happened to him at all.
Okay. Okay.
I'm well into my 70s, and it never reduced anything at all. Just a frequency, but not the desire.
I know my father, like, gosh, like, he was well in his 70s too. He passed away. He was 79, and he was going to Cuba like 3 times a year, because he had a little girlfriend over there, like, his midlife crisis girlfriend over there.
I think as long as they're yoga pants, we're good. We're going to be
They say here that andropause can also give hot flashes and sweats. Do you guys experience that at all? Are you like really hot? No?
Well,
okay.
I'm so far past it, I don't remember.
Okay.
It's like,
I don't. Yeah.
you hear us now?
Yeah, I'm good. Sorry. I had dropped my earbud.
What happened? Your earbud fell out?
Yeah, I did.
She
I went
forgot
like
to
this.
She's okay. She says it's an earbud. It's really a hearing aid. Just kidding.
Did you
So little now.
I think I sent it earlier, but I mean, I think guys get a bad rap because I feel that if someone says, "Oh, menopausal or whatever," it's a valid excuse. But if a guy was to say, "Oh, sorry, I lost my cool, I'm menopausal," I think you would chuckle. I think we don't get away
Especially, especially if you said I'm manopausal.
with menopausal. Yeah. Sorry, I left the door off the hinges. It's my hormones. Yeah, I don't know if we get away with that. I feel that though we're both consistent. I mean, we're both people like humans with hormonal changes that we just don't get that ticket to ride as easily. I
Yeah.
It is
feedback. I
true.
don't know. What do you think?
Oh, I think you're right, 100%. I don't
I do
think I
too.
would. Yeah, I don't know how I would respond to my husband saying he's menopausal. No, you're just an asshole.
And I think that's what I said to you was guys don't get away with it. Just, when guys misbehave, that's what they are. When girls misbehave, they have a condition, and we should call
Yeah.
it.
But guys also are very different from women in a lot of ways. It's like you look, okay, there's an old saying that I remember as from a kid: a woman is as old as she looks, and a man is not old until he stops looking. So if he's
Okay.
menopausal, whatever you want to call it, he's still looking. It's but don't look quite as often or quite as long. But
Hey,
You say
that's
that.
I don't see that on the list here.
Yeah. There's a rebirth of sexuality for lots of women in their 50s. I remember some of them that were dressed all like really super conventional and that's not the word, not conventional, conforming or whatever it is.
Frumpy?
And what's that?
Frumpy. Word
No,
was
no, not
not
frumpy, just
frumpy?
conservative, like really like
well dressed
Formal,
clothes like
formal.
they'd be
Formal.
like 52 years old and they'd have these transparent tops and lacy blouses, and I'm like, yeah, you weren't like that before, but it seems to be a real thing that say Steve's got in there instead of a
Jesus,
hot
cool.
I got a fan right here blowing down on me, so it's like, oh shoot! All of a sudden, I went from warm to cold, and it's not me having a flash.
Well, I think Ivan, from what I see, I mean, I always dress the same,
You
but
got cold flashes.
it's when a woman gets to a certain age and she realizes she's not young anymore. She tries to probably dress like she's young, and to me, that's not right. And in England, it's called mutton dressed as lamb. When you see that kind of thing, it's mutton dressed as lamb.
dressed as lamb.
Yeah.
And whenever I see them, if I'm out with Mary and I see a woman that's dressed like, I call it inappropriately because we should be dressing our ages, put it that way. And I always look at Mary and say, she used to be young once.
Oh,
Yeah, everybody was young once. Yeah, that's important.
Yeah,
To
okay. I gotta kind of take the side of the poor woman who's getting older here and has a hard time letting go of her youth, because I'm going through this shit right now. It's hard. It's really hard. You know, you want to keep dressing sexy, you want to keep being, attractive, but your youth is your body is betraying you. Your youth is going, and you're it's hard. It's psychologically really hard, guys.
And
well,
that's where you're wrong because the body's not betraying you. You
It
just
totally is. I said to you before, I have a beard now. It's betrayal.
you look at these young girls with the little tight butts about this size, and you say, okay, very nice. But you see a woman in her 40s who has a nice rounded butt, you say, that's mature.
oh, okay. All right.
Okay, but when you're hitting menopause and your butt is going like this and nonstop because there's no way, like, it's hormonal. I've been okay for the last 6 months. I gained 20 pounds. I'm exercising every day. I'm eating well. There's nothing I'm doing differently than what I was doing before. Yet I'm freaking expanding. It's hormonal. It's frustrating. Like,
don't touch that, Steve. Not a word. Is it? It's down.
I have a hard time here.
Yeah.
anyways,
Ivan and Stephen, are you the kind of guys that when your wife says, "Do I look fat in this dress?" What do you say
I,
then?
I get philosophical. I don't know. Do you?
Well, my wife never asked,
Does that work out for you?
and I think if she was to ask me, I'd have to
Be
read
honest.
what I'm going to say because you women can be so cruel to a man if they give you the right answer, the truthful answer. We're dead. It's like it was Queen Latifah on a show one night, or in a movie, and she says to the young girl, she had put on a pair of jeans, and she says, "Does my butt look big in these?" And she said, "And you better say yes," because she's a big woman. But I
Yeah.
think if my wife come up to me and said, "Do I look fat in these?" I'd have to tell her the truth, whether she did or didn't, because
Mhm.
she's the one going out, and
Mm,
if the clothes don't suit you or make you look something you don't want to look, if you want to look heavy, if you want to look skinny, tell me what you want to look, and I'll tell you if you'd look it or not.
Right.
You gotta
Okay.
Get back to what you said about going to the gym and all that. And Steve mentioned earlier the differences in gender. Here's a big one: is guys go to the gym to get bigger, and women go to the gym to get smaller.
true.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
True, but I mean, Julia, I know how you feel too, though. Like, I mean, you can walk, you can do anything and everything, but at a certain age, you just have to look at food, and it starts to.
It's insane, man. And I know it's gonna, eventually it's gonna settle. Like it's just right now I'm in a very hormonal phase where like it's so out of whack that nothing is working. Like I was saying, I have acne. I have more acne now than I have had when I was 16. And the hair situation is all over the place. And this weight, man, is just
Wow.
like, yeah. I have hair growing in the wrong places. Like it's not supposed to grow there.
So does
No.
that mean you're parting your hair to put your bra on now?
Oh,
Not that bad, but still, yeah. It's just, anyways, thank God for
but
laser hair removal.
So we've got quite a lot of information in this show, actually.
TMI.
I think Eric Erickson, who was a psychologist, and he had said the last phase of her life is integrity versus despair. And when you look back at every phase, if you're happy with what you've done, because someone mentioned the coulda, woulda, shoulda's.
Yeah.
If you have a whole bunch of those, well, that's despair. That's where, if only I could. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
do what you got to do at every phase of your life and be well with your decisions, and you'll be much happier. Like Frank
Yeah.
Sinatra song, "I did it my way."
There you go. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But I mean, we just have to accept the way we are, kind of thing, and not be so critical about
Yeah.
ourselves
We're
sometimes.
very critical.
Yeah.
We're
Like
the hardest people on
I'm
earth.
not allowed to take a picture of Julia and then post it. She's got to like review it first.
Gotta approve everything.
She's got to prove it, and then I'm like, "You look great." No, I don't. Like we're too critical about ourselves as well.
You
Our
say that.
appearance.
What's your feeling, My-Liis, on people who filter their faces all
Oh
over,
my.
and they're on Facebook, and I'm like, no, she doesn't look like that. It's like,
I know. It's ridiculous. There was one picture somebody was showing me the other day. I'm going, that's not the same girl. When you see her in real life, that doesn't even look like her. She's all
yeah,
filtered out.
And also, I will say something about the filters. They're easy to use, and I use them sometimes, and it's fun to use. Um, but it's dangerous because these young girls that are starting to use the filters like very early, they skew their perception of who they are,
Yep.
and they become more you use the filter, the more dissatisfied you become to
Yep.
what you really look like. It's a dangerous thing to use these filters. Like it's okay if you're using a filter that puts a little bunny nose and little bunny, ears on you. That's one thing, but and
those,
it's so
To make you look like the ones that make you look like a supermodel, those are the bad
those
ones.
are really like, yeah, it's dangerous.
I don't have
Anyways,
to worry about that.
I was going to say I haven't seen Steve with one of those or Ivan with one of those, and
well,
but it's all,
they both
but
look great. Not a
it's
wrinkle in their faces. Jesus.
it's
Yeah.
all the women seem to have to do that to themselves. Men don't. That's why I
Yeah.
say we're
Drink lots
overcritical.
of water. That's the trick.
Yeah.
Well, all I know is I got lots of wrinkles and I'm proud of them. I earned every one of them.
I have two major ones here, and I don't like them one bit. They're,
She,
I named them
The,
she
what,
my
did.
Mai-Liis and John.
what bugs me is a
Yeah.
chicken. I don't like my chicken.
Wear a big bow tie, Steve. Real up high.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm going to start wearing turtleneck.
Yeah,
All right.
this is the one thing that does bother me. I'm gonna have to start filtering that part out, but oh well.
You'll
Yeah,
notice
that's,
movies from the 70s, lots of the women stars that were, early 50s would have scarves.
Yep.
Big
oh
scarves.
yeah,
To
to hide them.
distract you. To
Because that's where it
distract
shows
you.
right away. Like as you get older, it seems to be the neck first.
Good observation. Never really put one and one together on that one. Mai-Liis, we have 4 minutes to go. Do you have any events to talk about today?
Well, we've still got the Klein House. The show at the Klein House is going on. It's called Still Dreaming. Very fits into this. Still Dreaming. It's a show with Cynthia Gaytan and Jane Allister. If you haven't gone over there, go check it out. It's absolutely beautiful, full of lots of color. The online art, the online art auction, the fundraiser for the art walk is happening. Julia, I thought you bought something from there before.
No, it was not an on. Was it an online one? I can't remember. I bought one piece um at an auction, but I don't think it was online. I think it was live.
Okay, this one is an online art auction. It's a fundraiser for the art walk that's happening in June. So you go on the art walk auction Facebook page and you do your bidding on there. The bidding starts this Friday, April 28th at 7, and then Saturday, April 29th at 7. So go check that out. What else is going on? Oh, next Monday, we are doing a bit of a serious talk. It's part 2 of the privatization of our healthcare. We'll be talking about that next Monday. Not quite the same show as we had today. And the Focus, there's a lot of art going on. The Focus art show is going on at Cornwall Square as well upstairs for the next couple of weeks. So check that out. It's really, really nice. A lot of beautiful pieces, 84 pieces by 34 local artists. And there's a lot of pieces by young artists in there this year too. So check that
When's
one
it
out.
on until?
What's that?
When's it on until?
It's actually, I have, it's started April 20th and ends April 30th. But
Okay.
check out The Seeker because there's different times that it's on.
Yeah, I think they were like
It's a
Thursday,
good show
Friday,
to look
Saturday.
at.
Perfect.
Well, you've got Thursdays and Fridays that's on from 10 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 3. 9:30 to 5:30. It's different hours, but walk by it and check that out. It's a great location upstairs at the Cornwall Square.
Perfect. All right, sounds good. Well, I guess that's it for us for today. Guys, did you have an event to pitch or anything? Do you have anything coming up?
Just
Nope.
Ivan's retirement.
Okay.
Ivan's retirement.
May 31st?
May 31st.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a nice date. That's a significant date for me for many reasons. May 31st. Anyways. Okay, guys. So thank you for joining us today. We'll see you next month on another topic. Maybe we'll talk about the trees and the beasts coming to town.
Yeah.
I'll see you next week. Have yourself a great week.
And a super duper day.
Take care of yourself.
All right.
All right, thank you.
All right. Bye for now.
Been fun.